when you look at a television screen and you see moving things on a television screen, you activate what's called the orienting response in your brain. And there are researchers that really are anti-television and anti-movies, and they say, I cannot stop looking. I'm not the person that wants to look, and when it goes on, I can't stop looking because the orienting response is working, right? Yeah. But what happens is when you start staring into a television screen or a computer screen, you freeze like that. You just freeze. And now when you freeze, your brain goes into trance. Yeah. And when you go into trance, you change your brain waves from what's called beta brain waves, where your analytical mind exists, to alpha brain waves, the world of imagination. And what separates the conscious mind from the subconscious mind is the analytical mind. Yeah. So as you change your brain waves, you begin to suppress analytical facilities. And now the door between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind is wide open. Yeah. So you're going to be more suggestible to information. And suggestibility is your ability to accept, believe, and to surrender to information without analyzing it. So you're highly programmable in that state. So if you want to experience that, whatever you're watching...
So CNN, as I'm falling asleep, is the worst thing I could possibly...
period. This is the other thing that blows my mind. You watch a television commercial, and I don't watch television hardly at all, but when I do, I'm insulted by a television commercial that's programming the person for the very condition that they have the drug or the answer for. Yeah. So, you start seeing a person with a grotesque thing that's supposed to be shingles, and they say, Chris, as you age, your immune system gets weaker and weaker. And if you've had chicken pox, did I have chicken pox? Yeah, I had chicken pox. Yeah. 1 in 4 chance of you getting shingles virus, and they put this grotesque image up. Now, here's what happens. You see that grotesque image, guess what happens? It captures all of your attention because you're alarmed by what you're seeing, and then you lean in. Yeah. And now they captured your attention, and now you're suggestible. So then in our work, we have people create movies of what they do want to experience in their life, and we put them into trance. Yeah. And we do the exact same thing. Instead of, hey, Chris, as you age, your brain gets weaker and weaker. Hey, Chris, as you age, your brain is getting better and better and better. Well, why not? Yeah. And put a person in a trance, teach them how to move and change their brain waves with their eyes open, and all of a sudden you put a good song in there that moves them, and they're seeing scenes of their life with their family and the things they want, and the song is creating an elevated emotion, and we teach them how to open their heart while they're watching it. And I tell you, over time, people start saying, I'm on my third movie, my third mind movie, everything else helping the other ones. I don't know. I'm going to do one to help the world now. So you can. We're so programmable. Yeah. And when I wrote Placebo, I was mad at myself for 2 weeks that I was such a sucker for programming. I didn't even know how programmed I was. And
from just what you learned writing that book.
Oh my God, how programmed we are into limitation? Yeah. And the antithesis of that is who we really are. I want people to realize that they are powerful. Yeah. That they can be defined by a vision of the future and begin to create experiences in their life that makes life more meaningful. And technology then, every time somebody blows somebody up or shoots someone or accomplishes some level in a game, there's a huge spray of dopamine in the brain, reward chemical. The receptor sites in the brain can't handle that much dopamine, so they close down. Yep. It's like a living with a spouse that always yells at you. Yeah, they have to yell louder to get your attention. So receptor sites are just like that, so they become desensitized. So what happens? The pleasure centers in the brain recalibrate to a higher and higher level, which means in the absence of that stimulation, you can't find pleasure from anything. The sunset is going to be boring. Seeing your grandmother is not going to make a difference. Taking a dog for a walk or playing with a dog is boring. Why? Because you just blew up a nation. Well, that's called adhedonia. You can't get pleasure from anything because you hijacked your pleasure centers to such a high level. Now, what about learning? Learning should be a reward in and of itself. A kid just spent an hour gaming or texting or whatever, and now they have to learn something. They can't turn their brain on. How are they going to turn it on? They're going to get in trouble. They're going to act out just for a little adrenaline, just to wake the brain up, and then that becomes the addiction now. And so technology is amazing, but you got to draw the line, like technology at one point, and then living life, nature, getting out, experiencing, doing this, communing, sitting at a table. Not everybody sitting at a table with a cell phone,
Yeah.
but actually really getting it on.
Can you give me a couple of the things that you are able to see and study that sort of prove people getting into this elevated state or feeling true gratitude, not just, oh yeah, I felt super good. Yeah. Like, what do you measure? What's really like hitting this sort of undeniable, like, okay, something is happening here?
All right, let's just start with the brain, okay?
Yep.
100 billion neurons, roughly, right? And you got different like clusters of neurons, communities of neurons that are assigned to like feeling your tip of your index finger. You becoming aware of your local in space and time. There's just different compartments that do different things, right?
Yeah.
And then you have different circuits in your brain that are connected to every person in your life, every object that you can recognize, every place you've been. If it's known, you have circuitry in your brain to reflect your environment, right? So then when people are living in stress, and stress, again, is when the brain and body are knocked out of balance, the arousal of those chemicals causes us to try to control and predict everything in our life. So we begin to shift our attention from one person to another problem, to another thing, to another object, to another meeting, to another place. And as you start to activate these circuits in your brain that are associated with all of those elements, the arousal of the stress hormones causes these different compartments to fire like a lightning storm in the clouds. And when the brain isn't working right, we're not working right. And people get stuck in these aroused states.
And that we spend a lot of time there, right? Especially with like social media. And
shifting your attention that quickly, you become what you practice. You will have a shortened attention span. Why? Because that's what you're practicing. So that imbalanced brain is looking for immediate gratification or something to take away a feeling, right? A disturbance. So then when you're living in stress, the primitive nervous system of the fight or flight nervous system, when you start feeling a danger or a threat, causes you to narrow your focus on the cause, right? If there's a predator around the corner or something moving in the bushes, you freeze, your heart starts to race, your adrenaline starts to pick up, your respiratory rate changes, blood is sent to the extremities, you're going to run, fight, or hide. That's it. And you're in survival. Well, people spend 70% of their life living in that aroused state, and their brain waves are way too fast. And so they're focusing on everything material. Our research shows if you can break that habit of narrowing your focus on everything material and using your senses, because stress heightens the senses that cause us to become materialists, then we begin to experience separation, like you're there and I'm here. So now we teach people how to practice creating heart coherence, not just, hey, Chris, try a little gratitude. No, I got to measure. I got a little device on you hooked up to a computer, and I'm watching to see if you're doing it and you're not doing it. If you're not doing it, I'm going to tell you you're not doing it.
And that's what I was saying is you can measure all that?
Oh, yeah.
Like you could sit here and I could be like, dude, I am so grateful right now. And you'd be like, no, you're not.
I would say you think you are.
You're scared.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. You're really not.
Wow.
But I can say to you, Drama, you're getting closer. Come on, give me a little more. Come on, open your heart to life a little bit more. And you can start controlling your breathing. And when you control your breathing, you control your brain waves. And as you start feeling safe, you move out of that survival system, and energy starts moving into the heart. So then it takes effort, right? If it was easy, everybody would do it. But when people free themselves from the chains of those emotions and the incoherence, wow, now you have an energetic pattern. Your body's actually emitting different information, different energy. And when people reach this point where they feel so self-regulated that they no longer need anything outside of them to do it. Now they're free because they're not going to need the drug, the computer game, the whatever it is to regulate. They just know how to do it now.